It is a 1933 Chevy three-window coupe. The story with this car is my father and uncle fixed this car up when they were kids. They bought it for $100. They did a whole bunch of engine modifications to it. My uncle actually drag raced the car. The car did win some trophies. My father drove it to high school. I'm Ted Boccuzzi, restoration specialist here at North American Motor Car. I'd like to tell you about a car that's very special to me. I'm here because of this car. My mom wanted to date the guy in the cool green car. This is the car. They went on dates, they got married, they had me. The car got put away once my parents got married. At 14, we pulled the car back out. I started working on it. I took it to high school. So my father and I both drove the same car to high school. When I got married, we put the car away. And in 2014, my father and I pulled the car back out of storage. We basically took the whole car apart. We repainted it back to the color that he had painted it in 1957 when he did it with my uncle, his brother. They wanted the car to remain stock looking, but it was a hot rod. My father always said that he liked the fact that it was what was called a sleeper. And that would be a car that doesn't look as fast as it actually is. So to do that, they wanted the transmission, to appear to look like an original transmission, which would have a stick that came out of the top of it. They actually took a 1955 Chevy 3-speed transmission, which would have used a side shifter. They made a plate to cover that shifter up, and they cut the top of a 37 Chevy truck transmission off and welded the two together. My Uncle Joe was known to be an amazing welder right from when he was a kid. They said he used to be able, he could weld a gum wrapper to an I-beam. So the car shifts absolutely beautiful, and it's one of those things that just doesn't get done anymore. It was quite the feat then, and it would actually be hard to do now, make that modification. The body on the car is mostly stock. Again, my father wanted it to look like an original car. Some of the things that were done over time, when they first did it, they put a small block Chevy in it. That was the thing to do in 1957. They started with a 265 Chevy. When I got the car, we decided to take it the next progression that my father would have taken it. I changed the motor over to a 327. We did de-stroke it and put a 283 crank in it, basically made a 302. They also changed the headlights on the car to Willys headlights, a much smaller light, used a sealed beam, was really the style in the 50s. 54 Dodge Lancer hubcaps and the Willys headlights are really the only non-Chevy part that was on it. They were very, very much Chevrolet people, so they wanted to keep the car as much Chevrolet as possible. He had a red and white interior with a green car, and it was the one concession I did not want to make when we went back to bringing it back to the way he had it. It's just, I put a black and white interior in it. I prefer it. We did keep the motor red. The interior was done by Brian Kendall, one of the other restoration specialists here at North American Motor Car. The car does have the original license plate that my dad first registered it with back in 1957. Never got rid of anything, along with all the speed parts that we had taken off and put in storage so that we could put it back on the car today as you see it. More closer to the way that he had it, so we decided to put all those pieces back on. Because of all those changes, we call the car the Cool Change. We do have some of the magazines that the car was in. It was in 4 different magazines back in the early 60s, and I was able to use those magazines along with the car to bring it back to the look that it had then. My dad will call me up and ask to have the car ready. I'll prep it, fill it with gas, get it ready for my mother and him to go out and relive their high school years. This may just look like any other street rod out there or hot rod out there, but this car really is a scrapbook of my life.